This week, our young, bright-eyed, innocent hero looks strangely at the new student in class. He can't help but feel that there's something weird about her being here, something strange, like he's seen her before, in the past. And he can't help but wonder, what does all this mean? This new student who, though everyone is asking her about who she is and where she came from, he feels as though he's not actually learning anything about her. And it's forcing him to wonder, is she friend or foe? Why is there this connection between them? Is she actually a crazy time-traveling lesbian? All these questions and more will be answered if you can figure out the anime I'm referencing. Anyways, so this week we got very human, we got very relatable, and I quite liked it, actually a lot. So first up, let's just touch upon a little thing I quite liked. That opening joke with the student wanting Corin's autograph and all the students who are just like asking her 20 questions and just like annoying her. They're just like, you can't do that. We gotta treat her normal, asshole. I don't know why. Something about that joke, just, I liked it. But there was something really good that happened early on. And that was Aichi's whole scene where it's just him in the hallway, figuring out, is he saying the right things? Is he presenting himself right? How is everyone reacting to him? How does he make himself seem cool? How much of his own personality does he let out? Like, all these things are extremely relatable, and they're presented in that realistic way of, it's just all the things that go through your head at once while you're just trying to make friends and socialize and be around people. And that moment where you do something that everyone kind of thinks looks a little weird when they look at you, they're going to forget about it in 5 seconds. But for you, that feels like a moment that lasts an eternity. And I know all this because I went through this. I really understand what they're trying to do here, and I really get and relate to Aichi in this bit. And just the whole thing, I think, actually plays very realistically, because, and this is where I reveal a bit about myself, when I was growing up, I actually was a lot like Aichi. I didn't really have a lot of friends. I didn't really have people who I hung out with on the weekends, or who I felt like would really care if I came back to school on Monday. I'm not trying to get creepy. I just mean like in general, if I was out like sick and just back the next day, no one would really think twice. I'm not trying to get like depressing here. Just normal kid teenager shit. But when this is very important, when I started going to locals and started playing like card games competitively, I suddenly things started to change. Suddenly I was making friends. I was meeting people who wanted to like meet outside of locals, or would just start talking to me out of the blue, or wondered where I was a week I didn't show up. That was a great feeling, and I really felt like I was making friends who I still have to this day. It was great and it was awesome, but I still wanted to have friends at school. Like, they always want to tell you, oh, just be content with the friends you have. That's not really how people work. We want to expand. We want to meet other people. It's how humans work. We're a social animal. And so I tried doing a Yu-Gi-Oh club in school. Didn't really work all that well. So I get what's going on with Aichi. I understand that desire to want to expand and get better. And the thing is that what makes simply just doing card games with people and trying to be with people in school is that when you play card games, when you go to locals with your deck of whatever game you want, and you're around other people, you've gotten past what is the hardest part of socializing. You have found a common interest with someone that allows you to relate to them. When you're in school, you don't know these people. You don't know where they came from. You don't know which one's a drug addict. I know it was you, Pete! Anyways, but the thing is that you still want to try. You still want that socialization, and that's what Aichi's going for. It's not for some big ultimate save the world goal. It's just a kid who just wants to be social. He wants to get better. He wants to improve himself. And it's a great bit, and I quite liked just watching that little scene. I like when he walks past the ripped up paper and he's like, nope, not gonna let it get to me. Can't let it get to me. That's a big part of it. Because the thing is once you get those ideas back in your head that it's gonna fail, that no one's gonna care, that everyone's just gonna laugh at you, that's when you stop trying, and that's when you stop wanting to socialize. Someone brought up in the comment section last week, what's the point to ripping the paper? And I agree. There is no point. No one would probably actually do it. It's definitely a bit of an over the top sort of teen drama-y thing they did. Let's be real here. Most people would just draw a dick on Blaster Blade's face. But I think it's cheesy, but it's effective for, I think, what they need to get across, and that being representing Aichi's desire to get better. I thought it was a great little scene, and just the whole episode, he just felt a lot of fun. Like, the way he kind of acted, the way his personality's gotten more bubbly, he's not whining. They definitely fixed the Season 2 problem of they finally figured out the difference between a character feeling defeated over something that is normal and making a character seem whiny and unlikable. So that quite worked. Next most important thing worth talking about is the Naoki stuff. This was great. Naoki gave me a lot of hope in the original series that when he showed up we were going to fix things, and things were going okay for a little bit. Then Kai ruined everything in Link Joker arc. But I quite like the way they're using Naoki here. First up, his redesign. The way they've sort of gotten rid of those weird round eyes of his that always make him look tired. He actually looks legitimately vicious and like someone you would want to avoid. So when you find out his backstory that he didn't beat people up, he didn't really hurt people, it's the fact that he didn't do anything. The fact that he is this guy who kind of, in the same way Aichi always gets judged as being weak and defenseless, he was always seen to be judged as being a punk and being angry and scary. Now, obviously, he has a temper, but it's sort of that idea that he kind of just accepted his weird niche in life, and it sort of alienated him in the same way Aichi wasn't alienated, just in a different direction. This is basically what they were trying to do with Chrono in G Series, except this is actually good because we actually spend time in this character's head trying to understand how he thinks and how he views the world, as opposed to Chrono, who would just mope, sigh, and play card games. But I quite liked it, and I like the way we haven't just jumped instantly into him joining Vanguard. He needed that extra time. He's needed 2.5 episodes to want to break out of his own shell and leave his comfort zone in the same way Aichi has. I also thought it was really neat the way when he came into the card shop, and now he's just like, what the hell is going on? It's great because he gets to see that side of Aichi that Aichi can't bring out around the normies. But it's also fun because, like, I feel like that is what happens every time a normal person walks into a card shop and sees a bunch of people yelling, making jokes, fooling around over a table of people playing with weird colored Asian cards. I just thought it was very human and how that actually would go in real life, and his interaction with Shin I thought would be annoying, but I actually kind of got a little chuckle out of it. Moving on, we get Corin, just more of the Corin stuff. So Corin comes in the next day with the school, and what I love is, I love how when she's doing that weird thing like, you're the Asia Circuit champion, why are you doing this? I love how everyone's just looking at her like she's a weirdo. Everyone's like, what is she talking about? Aichi's just kind of making this face like, why do I keep attracting these nutcases? I like that. I like when she joins the Cardfight Club. It's very instant. It's very just, here I am. And I think that's kind of what they're going for. Because remember, we haven't actually really been introduced to this version of Corin yet. We have a brief idea of who she is and what she is, but for the most part, she's turning out to be a little bit different. She's clearly based on the opening part of a bigger scheme, and she seems to just be filling that role. So it makes you wonder, not unlike the joke I made at the beginning, is she friend or foe? What are her intentions? I like how they're sort of playing that up, but they're not like using it to take away from the actual story. It's definitely filling in nicely, and I thought it was funny the way Aichi's like holding up this sign like, fight Corin, and everyone's like playing him, and then like Aichi just gives them tips and they get back in line. Like, I like that they just sort of accept the convolutedness of this whole setup. And then finally, the last thing that must be addressed, Masaki's bitch get away from my man scene. I mean, there's two of them. The first is when Corin joins the Cardfight Club. She kind of makes this face, sort of like, and then the second is when she's just like, why would anyone think he's making a Cardfight Club for an idol? I don't know, it just works for me. Because again, like I said last week, Masaki's not the kind of person who's going to understand her emotion. She's not the kind who's going to instantly be like, well, I like him. Like, it is going to probably be this sort of slow build, this sort of she's kind of coming to terms and maybe seeing, well, here's this literal model who is now around this guy who I'm starting to feel weird things for. So I quite like where this is going and progressing. And what can I say? Like I said, this just feels very relatable and I think it feels very understandable. And I hope you feel understandable about this too, because I don't think the situation they present Aichi as being in is particularly abnormal or not unique to anyone who is attracted to sort of more kind of niche hobbies. But tell me all that below. And as for the Vanguard question of the week, Mystery Flare. I know we did a Gear Chronicle question last week, but the Gears of the Clan from that set I'm most interested in. Mystery Flare seems epic. Do you think that this card is sort of a look into Gears being more on the gimmicky fun side, or do you think they're actually going to try and make a card this ludicrous consistent? I don't care. I want it. Tell me that below. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me next week as my boy Golds enter the fray.